So, this is my first time going live in all of 2022. I asked two guys if they would come and join me because we just want to spend a quick minute talking about 2022 and some New Year's kind of resolutions. At the same time, what's great is this is going to be a few minutes shared for people like us that are looking for ways to be mentally strong, logically, facing forward, thinking, and using common sense. So it's really great as I have both Craig Wong and Daniel Harrington. Both of them have been instructors for me for things that I've wanted to take some classes on. I don't know if you guys want to talk a little bit about your backgrounds or anything you want to say about how we met.
Yeah, so I'm Dan.
Speak into it.
Yeah, so I'm Dan.
Keep going.
Jesus Christ.
You're a natural.
Yeah.
Hey, so I'm
Dan.
Dan.
Moment sounds.
Yeah, a little bit about myself real quick. I was in the Marine Corps. I spent 11 and a half years. I was also an instructor, weapons, and I got a little bit of experience overseas, and I was medically retired out in 08. I think I should mention that. Dude.
That's cool.
And, I worked in military training contracts for several years, working as a force protection anti-terrorism instructor, the DoD. And then started Harrington Concepts 2019 and recently co-formed C&D Training with Craig over here. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun, putting in a lot of work. I've been working with various law enforcement agencies, military units, everything from helping run some of their classes, putting on commercial classes strictly for LE and MIL personnel. And
wait, explain that because most listeners don't know what LE means.
Law enforcement personnel and military.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those classes are restricted just because of the nature of the type of training. And we also been doing civilian firearms training, self-defense type related topics. And so that's kind of who I am. And yeah, I'm going to turn this over to Craig.
Great.
Put that next to your mouth.
Yes. So I'm Craig Wong. I've got some military experience also. Just retired maybe 3-4 years ago from law enforcement, 30 years. Most of my forte, I guess, in law enforcement has been use of force instruction, whether it be driving, defensive tactics, or firearms. It's kind of something that at the beginning of my career, I never thought I would do. I'd actually call you crazy, call myself crazy, or anybody else crazy, as far as being an instructor. But as things progressed later in my career, I got into teaching civilian firearm stuff, more carry concealed weapons permit stuff, and just private instruction just with firearms. Kind of something Dan didn't mention is how him and I met. We've been taught by the same person as far as how we do close quarter combat training. We have the same mindset, same methodology, train hard, and get your results through training. After I retired, it kind of my instruction with civilians evolved more so. I still do part-time work with the sheriff's office that I retired from. So it still continues. Dan and I decided to partner up with one another, basically to kind of make things easier for one another. If you ever do firearms instruction properly, the way we do it, it is very mentally draining because there's a lot of work that's involved with us putting on a class the way we do it. So anyways, but talking about Margaret, how her and I met, she actually took a class that I was teaching in carry concealed firearms. It's funny, kind of an inside joke between two of us is, she said, "Do you remember me?" I go, "No, I don't. Sorry. I only remember the students that were kind of for lack of a better term, a pain in the butt, which is a good thing, right? And she was not that. Somewhere down the road, actually recently, maybe a couple months ago, we ran into each other again with another class, and that's when she asked me, "Do you remember me?" I thought, no, sorry, not personal. But as we're going through the class, I remember how she impressed me, and we have a little joke. Uh, Somewhere during the class, I go, "Okay, get into the prone," and she just dropped down and got dirty. So I'm impressed with those little things because it shows me that you have a certain mental tenacity that Dan and I try to instill in the people that we teach. So Margaret kind of impressed me with that, and we got to talking about things, and here we are. Weird, huh? Is that about right?
No, that's great. That's
Okay,
really helpful.
all right. As far as I'm concerned, I live in Las Vegas, Nevada, right now. Um, I work for a tourist company that's actually located in White Hills, Arizona. It's a tourist company. You get to shoot machine guns, military grade stuff. But we are evolving into other things, one of which is our shoot house, our live fire shoot house, which is another podcast or another subject. But anyways, that's kind of me in a nutshell. I am passionate about training. I know it's necessary and I know it's needed, especially when it comes to firearms. So other than that, I'm going to hand this to Margaret.
Okay, a couple of the things that I think are really helpful for anybody that knows me, I'm a complete scaredy cat and afraid of things. I've had a few tough tumbles in my life, and it's given me the courage to believe that I can always get back up. And so that's super helpful. My husband challenged me to try something that was way out of my comfort zone, and I did try a little bit with both of these gentlemen when it comes to firearms training. I am not a firearms girl. I believe in your Second Amendment rights. I love people that know how to use them safely and properly and responsibly. So if I could take some training so that I can at least strive to achieve those levels of safe and responsible and do things safely, that's my goal. But I also want to share this with other people like myself, in case you're one of those. If you want to know what you could do to learn about something, how do you take some training? How do you identify? What do you want to look for? You really do want to find some instructors and you want to be willing to take classes. And I think they both did a great job of saying, you got to go into it to be a student. And I literally want to encourage anybody that's sort of the Bay Area-ish. If you're interested, get a hold of me, ask questions, leave us a comment. I'll show you how you can get to C&D Training. This is Craig. This is Dan. It's C&D Training for Craig and Dan Training. And these guys have a ton of background. So you're catching on, right? You already heard that they have law enforcement and military and firearms instructors. They teach at a very high level. I don't want to give away too many details. Just know if you're going to learn at the basic level, learn from the people that won't let you develop bad habits. So that's what I can say as my level. And I think it's really great if you do have an interest in this. Like one of the things we want to come on tonight and talk about was some of the things that we're seeing in 2022, because we've all lived through 2021 and 2020. And now here we are in 2022, and the three of us are all saying, look, we're old enough and we're savvy enough. We want to help people to realize it's time to be strong, be bold, be brave, even if you don't feel it. And so one of the things that these guys know is they've seen me nervous and shaking and taught me how to, breathe through that and do what I needed to regardless. So if you've got an instructor giving you intentions and voice, you've got to zone in on that voice. You've got to let go of your fear and doubt, and you've got to move towards that type of training. So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if other people are thinking about 2022? Nobody wants to be full of fear anymore. And what can we talk about when it comes to like how to be thoughtful, resourceful, resilient?
Thanks. So I think mindset, that's a topic of a discussion here. And a lot of people, they think mindset like, what are you talking about? And depending on where you go, there's just different levels of, mindset, I guess. And where I'm getting at, to keep it simple, is, you know, I try to stay situationally aware without looking like I'm paranoid. Um, However, you know, and I've been around for a minute, and I can, if I see trouble, I walk the other way. Until you corner me, you know, I'm going to do everything I can to leave, but I'm also not going to show my fear. So, for example, if I'm at a park with my dog going for a walk, and I see some folks that look kind of shady, um, I'm not gonna, and I have to walk by them, or they have to walk by me because of the way the trail's set up. I'm not gonna avoid them per se, because I do not want to look kind of weak. I don't want to look like a,
Target.
yeah, I don't want to present myself as a soft target and look like a potential victim. I want to present myself as being confident, you know, expressing confidence in how I walk and how I carry myself. So at least they get that message that if they try to, you know, do something with me, it's gonna be difficult. I'm gonna make it difficult for them, and they probably just want to move along and you know, find someone else. So, you know, people say, well, that's easy because you're in the military and you got this background, you got a big old beard, and you know, well,
He's
you
a
can.
freaking badass. Let me just tell you.
No, I'm just a regular dude.
Right.
But there's no reason why Margaret can't exude that same kind of confidence too,
Right.
right? There's no reason why. I was in a course with an instructor course a few years back with a lot of women, a firearms course, and we were talking about stories. And this one lady, she was in Vegas, and she was being followed by this dude 3, 4 in the morning, and she's going back to her hotel room, and she turned around and said, "No, no, 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 no!" Scolded him like a dog, and I fell out of my chair laughing so damn hard the way she described this, but it got the guy's attention. I mean, she literally said, "No, no, no,
Hard
no,
stop.
no, no." I never heard of something like that. I mean, because it looked like she was scolding a child or a dog that
bad
just
dog. The
got
bad
into
dog.
something, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, that is pretty cool. You know,
Effective.
it was. And, you know, she's a, you know, I don't know, barely 5 foot tall, 100 and, you know, 30, 40 pounds or something like that. And good on you, you know. So, yeah, I think that's what we're trying to get is how do, you know, guys like Craig and I, with our background, how do we take this, well, some of our experience, and bring it to the average person that has, you know, has never taken any kind of self-defense type classes or martial arts or
Right.
firearms training. You know, if you're just going along, you know, walking out to your car from work in the parking garage or what have you,
Great example.
and you have, you know, if you think that you might get hassled or possibly assaulted or robbed, you know, what are some of the things that you can do? You know, just presenting yourself as confident. You know, I'll tell you right now, it's scary. You know, anyone that tells you that they're never scared when they're confrontational, I think, you know, I don't know, I don't buy it, because even I just learned how to control my emotions, my fear, and actually that's kind of what drives me to, you know, overcoming that fear by being confident. And you know, because in my mind, you know, if we go toe to toe, I'm expecting to get punched. I'm expecting to get kicked, getting struck. Big deal. It ain't the first time I've been punched before. It ain't the first time I've been smacked and been knocked around. I'm just going to dig in, and I'm gonna make you work for it, and I'm gonna make you want to quit because I'm not going to be worth your time. You know, because you're the one that's going to get hurt if you come after me, and that's the mindset. Now, with that being said, I try to avoid conflict at all costs, because people that do know me, I'm not a violent person. I don't like violence. You probably see me running around out of town with a tie-dye shirt, hanging out at a reggae concert.
That's true.
Now, Craig, I'm going to be dragging him to a reggae concert here pretty soon. You know, we're going to try to get some of the hippies to, with the Birkenstocks, to come take some defense courses
Not that
with
there's
us.
anything wrong with it.
No, it's not. No, because like I said, I'll run around tie-dye all day long with a Glock under my shirt.
So to kind of jump on what Dan's just mentioned, it's building that mental mindset. It's not something that happens overnight. This is something that can take years. Uh, some people longer, some people shorter. It really, when you're talking about the human being, the human mental mindset, the human mind, it takes time. It's not something that will happen overnight. Stress, which is not necessarily the topic of this conversation, um, you can be conditioned to tolerate higher levels of stress. What Dan and I try to do is we try to get you to be able to tolerate those higher levels of stress through training. Because if you've ever seen the way we train, we're going to stick it to you in the sense of, in a good way. It's not personal, but we want you, because when we train you for stress, uh, down the road, you'll find yourself just walking around. All of a sudden, things don't phase you like they used to. So we don't. We also we don't train you to. If you get into a fight, whether it be a gunfight or just a physical fight, we don't train you to tie, and we sure as hell don't train you to lose. We train you to win, and then to go beyond that, we train you to dominate the fight, right? If someone chooses to pick you as a victim, they need to know they made a mistake, okay? And that's kind of how Dan and I do things, and how we try to condition you or that mindset to get to that point. And of course, it's like flipping a switch. Um, we want to all be normal. We're not training you to be mean. We're not training you to be cruel. We're not training you to be killers. We're training you, should you have to use these skills, you're going to win, or at least you're going to give yourself a chance, right? Freak things of nature, you can't help. It just, you could train to get blue in the face, and a freak thing can just nullify the training, so to speak. But at least if you have a chance to fight, you're going to give yourself a chance to win. That's what we do. And Margrett, I can tell you right now, from the time I've known her, she is working well on her way to doing that.
But I also think it's great, if you don't mind, tell people about, like, you guys both know, I am by nature a little bit of a scaredy cat. I don't come at this with the training and background of you guys. And I think that's where other people can sort of identify with somebody like me. It's like, look, 2022, I don't have room to carry fear, doubt, worry. I need to be on my mission and do my thing and carry forward. And that's where, like, to me, the reason I've taken classes and had these guys as instructors is I want to be around people that understand how to meet somebody like me where I'm at my level, and pull me up. And I wonder what you guys would say to other people, whether it's Margrett or 20,000 other just like me. How do you meet? Because I've seen you guys in classes with a wide range of students. In fact, why didn't you not remember me? Because I wasn't your biggest problem, right? Which is a great compliment.
Yes.
We all agree, like, that's a lovely compliment. At the same time, you're very good, both of you. You know who to zone in on and which ones you're going to have to deal with first, because they're your highest threats and dangers, but also who are your threats in the world that you're trying to train against, and what are the things. So I think that it would be really cool if you shared with anybody that's interested, men, women, right? It doesn't have to be just moms. It could be any of us. Like, I'm an auntie. I've got an aunt. I want to be a wife. I want to be a mother. I want to be an auntie. I want to handle things where I'm not inviting problems. But if somebody is trying to pick off somebody I care about, well, I know what to do.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, tell me if you kind of, so with Dan and I, it's kind of, we're just looking to give you options. Maybe a firearm is not what you want, and that's okay. That is completely your right. That is completely your decision. I asked a question in my carry conceal class when I used to do lectures. And Margaret, you can disagree or agree. One of the questions I ask is, are you prepared to take somebody's life? Because you can buy all the tools that are out there for you, but if you're not right, you can train to a certain point, but the aftermath is what gets a lot of people. Are you willing to take somebody's life? Because if you shoot somebody, if you hit somebody in the right spot in the head, you could conceivably end their life. And are you prepared to do that to protect yourself? Some people are not, and that's okay. Um, where you meet Dan and I, we're trying to give you options to think about different ways, because it doesn't have to be a gun. It could be martial arts. It could be a taser gun. It could be pepper spray. It could be.
This is what I'd worry about with these two. This number one digit. This digit. Like, it doesn't have to be a weapon. You guys can solve a lot of problems.
So it's kind of, that's what Dan and I, that's one of our, I guess, mission, so to speak, is to give you the options and give you things to think about. What, I mean, you can call it making yourself better. That's fine. But we're giving you those options.
So just to piggyback on like what Craig was talking about, first thing that I think we need to do is, one, thank you for being here and watching this, taking the initiative, right? That's the first step, is taking the initiative and seeking out training. One of the things I would recommend, whether you go through us or somebody else, is vet your instructors. Vet them. Make sure they have a credible background. Do your research, because just please do, because we see some stuff out there. That's kind of why we got into this also with the civilian stuff, is civilian training is just please vet your instructors. So let me back up a little bit, talking about one of my personal experiences. In 2001, I had been in the Marine Corps for close to 4 years. I got jumped by a couple of gangsters in April of 2001, and the only reason why I survived and those guys broke off the fight, it wasn't because all the training I had received in the Marine Corps and I was some kind of skilled fighter. It was the mindset and the conditioning that I had received mentally and physically from Craig and I's mentor at that time period, a gentleman that pushed us hard, and I mean hard. That when I got caught off guard by these two guys, these two gangsters, I didn't even realize I was getting stabbed. I just dug in and fought, and I got meaner. I got meaner than them because, it's 2 against 1, and within a minute they broke off, jumped in a car and left, and and I was fired up, pissed, leaking out everywhere, but I won. I won the fight, and I survived. It wasn't because I was some skilled fighter, because I'm not. It was just when it was time to get violent to save my own life, I had to get meaner than them, and they screwed up, and they picked a fight with the wrong guy. So and that's what we're trying to do is get that. I will not quit. I will absolutely 100% not quit. You're coming after me. Stand by. I will. I'm gonna bring it. I'm gonna turn the heat on. And I don't like doing it, but you push me, you put me in a corner, you threaten me, or you threaten the people I love most in this world. Then, stand by. I'm going to suggest you just keep on rolling, go down that road. So, and this is what we're going to try to convey to you, and this is what we do in our classes. We talk about a lot of our real world experiences, and we also talk about mistakes at times too, depending on the topic, because we got to learn from mistakes. And one of the things I found over the years is going through classes with people and training, and the professionals I work with, is we talk about mistakes, right? So we don't repeat them, and we don't want others that we work with to repeat mistakes, right? Because it's critical, not just talking about life and death and injury, but lawsuits, right? Attorneys, just because you're a civilian, you're not a police officer. Let's say you get in some kind of altercation or a shooting. Civilians, you're on the hook too. Remember, if you use a firearm, every round that comes out of that gun, talking the bullet, for general term, that's not proper terminology, but with every bullet that comes out of that gun, every round, there's an attorney attached to it, and you better remember that. Okay, if you're using a mace or something or some kind of taser, you use it. Can you if you have some if the person attacking you has a heart condition, yeah, you're defending yourself, but can you get sued if someone thinks that you may not have you could have had other options,
Monday morning
so
quarterback.
we bring up a lot of topics that we try to relate to you, whether you're a regular civilian or whatever category you fall in, military or law enforcement. We try to bring up a lot of cases, do a lot of case studies, and start talking about, you know, what they did right and what they did wrong. And even if they were legally right, why they still get sued, And I think that's really important to know because that's something I have to consider too with my actions. Because remember, for every action, there's a consequence, legal and civil. So kind of got a little off track there, but that's what Craig and I try to bring. Besides just skills, we try to bring a certain mindset. You know, walk softly. You know, but I got a big stick and I'll use it if you force me to. So with that, Craig or Margaret,
Yeah,
I'll
I
turn
was
that
gonna
back
say
to you.
one of the things that I think is always helpful because people that know me, like I'm just like what I consider a small town mom. I'm like a total genuine MOM. So I wanted to say, like, I challenge myself to face things that I'm very afraid of. And I did ask for training. It doesn't mean I have skills. It doesn't mean I'm ready. It doesn't mean I want. It's I want to take the class or I want to learn because I almost feel like it's an insurance policy to make sure that I don't have to deal with something unprepared. Do I want to have to use insurance policy? No. Who does? Who wants to use their insurance policy? Do you drive your car hoping you can use your insurance policy? No. So I literally just want to put that out there. Like you can be like me and uncertain. And then that's where I thought you did a great job of bringing up vet your instructors. Because as a woman, I will say, what's really great is being around guys that are not like these gentlemen are examples, and I'm sure there's other ones, but they know how to train a woman. They're going to talk right to the things that can throw you, and they're going to speak like I use you as an example. He'll talk right in my ear sometimes and give me a scenario, and it is hard. My tears come to my eyes. However, I will listen to his voice. I will get my focus together, and I will do as I'm being instructed. I also think that what's really great is for anybody that's looking for good instruction, find people that have mastered their own mean. Just because you can doesn't mean you want to. So I think that the scary person is a person that doesn't know how to manage it. I think learning from really talented, and I don't know if I should use this example, but to me, I kind of have a little of this background in me, having gone to school overseas, where I'm like, sometimes you want to know when you're around somebody with more of a master skill than what you have. So if you're going to be the novice, it's okay to look to somebody and let them know you're here to learn. And I just say that as a student. I appreciate that both of you guys let me come in and say, hey, look, I'm here because I am afraid and I don't want to be. And I need and I want and I will learn. And that's where I think if you can talk a little bit more about, what to look for instructors and how for students like me and a million other like me, how we can have the courage to come to your class.
Okay, so Dan talked about vetting your instructors, and although there's a lot of good and great instructors out there, there's a lot of people out there that are not great. They're not credible. They make things up. They give you a bad product, a false product. So, and Dan and I always encourage the people that we train, hey, go try somebody else. You don't have to
Yep.
stay with us. You're take the things that you learn from us that you like, go to another training group and do the same thing and make it your own. We're not trying to take it all, although we'll train it all, but we're not trying to monopolize training. Training is training, and you get a good instructor, you get a good instructor. Um, when we talked about this for 2022 resolutions, we challenge anybody that's listening or anybody that's watching, anybody that's even come into contact with us. Always don't be scared to challenge yourself. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Because unfortunately, with our society now, and you may agree or disagree, that's a big thing. People are scared to make mistakes. People are afraid to just fail. Um, that's your best learning
I
point.
really just want to say that's one thing I would love to share with people. I'm the receiving end as a student. I think that's why I'm appreciative of instructors that have given me a place to come and fail forward, get back up, bounce, never give up, and to feel like when you're being guided by somebody that already knows all the range of possibilities, all I have to do is focus in on the skills I'm being taught. And I think rather than being overwhelmed, can I handle it all? Am I ready for it? Hey, sometimes it's nice. If you're around somebody that's really got it down, they'll keep you in a very narrow, succinct lane. And all you have to do is take your next step forward. And yes, I fall, but I get back up.
Right.
Yeah, and I'll put Margaret out there. When she was in the class with me, we put on a scenario, and it was a challenge for her. It was something that was very, very personal for her. I believe I took you aside too, right? And I go, what's the deal? And I guess she trusted me, and she told me it was very personal for her, and it kind of triggered her. So I gave her some words of encouragement. I go, hey man, I challenge you.
Suck it up, I believe is the word.
Did I say that?
In the nicest way.
Okay, so I said, okay, let's say I basically told her.
You go, girl. You go, girl. It's the same thing.
But knowing full well to confront the fears, or the challenges that you have in life.
Yeah, doubt, worry, uncertainty. Like, what am I going to
Mhm.
face? Am I going to face the fear, or am I going to face the challenge?
Yeah, but that's also part of your recovery process,
Feel the fear,
right?
fear the fear,
Right.
but you
Right.
let me feel the fear and
Mhm.
still face the challenge.
Yeah, because I have fears too, and I know full well I can see it in her eyes. It's kind of like, ooh, maybe. And most instructors will just say, okay, just step off the side. I ain't doing that.
Yeah.
Dan ain't doing that. We're not gonna be mean about it.
No.
But we're gonna say, hey, look, I get it, but this is where you create that term. Let's see how much sand you got in your bucket.
Yep. Some intestinal fortitude.
Right, and right.
Right. No.
But
Really.
it's kind of, and I tell you what, she nailed it. She went through it. She did what she was supposed to do. She came out, and I hope she came out a better person or a little bit stronger from it.
Very true.
And that's what I like to see,
Mm-hmm.
because it's that human self-improvement that Dan and I push. I challenge other instructors to do the same with their students. Make your student better. We firmly believe, and I say this in every class, our students are not here for us. We are here for you.
Yep.
Okay, and I say that in the beginning of our classes. Any class that we teach, you go, hey, just so you know, you better ask questions, because I'm not, I'm here for you. You're not here for us. You're not feeding our ego. You're here. I'm going to feed your ego, if anything. And that's why Dan and I partnered up. We have that same mentality, and that's what we want. And I hope you find instructors. If you don't come to us, it's all right. It's not personal.
Yeah.
I hope you find that with the people that teach you. I challenge you to go out and train and make yourself stronger mentally. Make yourself braver. Make yourself a little bit more fearless. Not that tombstone courage, but just make yourself stronger mentally. Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I can't say this enough, but my husband challenged me to think about stuff that my knees were knocking, my hands were trembling. Yeah. And the first time I tried to do stuff, I had to reach out for a nephew and get advice. And then my point is, please don't think you do it in one step. Please think if you're like me.
It takes time.
It does, and you gotta go through some forward 2 steps, fall down, get back up, back a step, forward 3 steps, try it again. And I also want to just say, if you are interested in testing yourself for 2022, because 2022, this is the year that we get to rise above the challenges. And this is the year where we get to build community. And the thing that I'm trying to project and to share out there is find people you can learn from. Get good instructors. Don't act like you know it if you don't. You guys both know that it's okay to be the newbie and the beginner and to say, I'm want to be brave, but at the same time, hey, give me a challenge. I need to get dirty.
Right, we all
now you
started
believe
somewhere.
me.
We all
Absolutely.
started
Right,
Yep.
but once I'm dirty, you believe me.
somewhere.
Just to piggyback on that, if your instructors are telling you, well, you're good enough, and I've heard this in some of the instructor courses I've had to go through, and I've heard that kind of terminology or that mindset in civilian classes, law enforcement classes, military, and I truly believe that attitude is setting you up for failure. It's complacency and just being good enough. And I am so thankful that my mentors, the people I looked up to, absolute professionals, military and law enforcement professionals, they pushed me harder than I ever been pushed in the Marine Corps. I'll tell you that right now. It was some of the most miserable training, but it saved my life. Not just in that one incident that I talked about, but in other incidents too. So, get out and push yourself, challenge yourself, and don't hold yourself to higher standards, and make sure you have instructors that hold you to a higher standard that encourages you. And one thing that we push out here and we tell students is, I tell them all the time, I want you to get to be better than me consistently. If you can, whatever I'm teaching, if you can do it better than me, that's my thank you. Is if you can consistently do it better while maintaining integrity and being controlled and disciplined and not turning into some kind of show off. Just being humble, being very humble, and carry yourself as a professional. So, right? I mean, right?
As an instructor, that's a very satisfying thing to see when your student not only matches what you're doing or your skills, whatever, but surpasses you. That's how we work.
Yeah.
And for instructors out there, for wherever you teach, I challenge you to do the same. It's that's the rewarding part for me and Dan, is watching our students excel to a point where it's like, oh my God.
Yeah,
That
right.
chick's awesome. Man.
Yeah, it is.
She's awesome. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, where did she come from?
And then we tell them, you can do better than that. Keep going.
Right?
Not good enough.
Yeah.
You're not good enough yet.
It's-
But in the back, we're like, dude, that's awesome. It's one of the greatest feelings in the world to watch people grow.
Yes. Yes.
Any teacher can agree.
Right.
Any teacher teaching a kid to read or do math, or the light bulb goes
You know,
on.
just recently, we've been working with students that are in the military, and they're deploying to wherever, and helping them get better. Helping them prepare outside of the regular military training. Just help them prepare for, whatever they may be facing. So, watching them grow and watching them come in on what we refer to as their own time and dime. Okay, and that's where it's huge. And for you folks that are out there that are just regular folks, civilians, you got to take the initiative. You've got to make time. You got to make time to go to the classes, and then you got to take time to practice at home or wherever. You've got to put in the work, because this stuff, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. Just like martial arts, you don't just go to a few classes and get a belt and think that you're ready to hit the street. And no, it takes time.
Right. And
Yep.
it's kind of along those lines. A lot of folks, as you're going through training, you're like, oh my God, what the hell am I doing? Or this doesn't make any sense, or what? But the lesson starts to sink in after you're done with whatever training you go through. And that could be that same night, 2 days later, 3 days later, a month later.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the lessons start to sink into your mind as, oh, okay, I get it now. or when you run into a situation and you've used some of the skills that you've been taught. Oh, now I get it. Because a lot of the people that Dan and I teach, we're not just mentally hard. We don't give you that mental, not necessarily the mental push. It's also the physical push. And people are like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? But at the same time, literally, as soon as we're done and we break for the day or break for the class, they realize, I get it now.
Yep.
I get it. Because during the training, you won't get it. I didn't get it for a lot of my training. I don't know about you, but I was kind of like, what? I'm scratching my head. What was I thinking?
Yeah.
But the lesson comes when you're done, or you have to apply your skills that you've just learned. So a lot of people kind of lose sight of that when they're training for something or they take a class for whatever. And when we were kids and you took math, it's like, why do I need this? And then you get older and you're like, oh.
Yeah, you get behind a rifle.
I get it.
You start making wing calls. I'm in instructor school. I'm like, oh man, my algebra? Like I gotta figure out formula for ballistics and whatnot. So,
but the lesson, the point we're making is the lesson comes after, and a lot of times, and it's not necessarily during. You just need to have a little bit of faith with your training as you're going through it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and the one thing that I also want to bring forward to anybody that's interested is it is staying with it. It is working through it. I think it's been maybe about a year. So I'm still very early on. And I know it's been a couple classes with you and a couple of instructions with you. So I'm really grateful. And I wanted to share that in case there's other people like me out there that are looking for this. And it's kind of nice to learn and say, hey, these guys are some of what I think are the best of the best. I've certainly met others and listened to others, and there's good ones. But it's lovely when you meet people that are like, hey, these guys are really motivated to help other people that see where people like me are at and pull us forward. Because, if we're here to be good students, you want a good instructor. And I think that's kind of the bottom line. I don't know if you have any recaps or things that you would say, like what's sort of our mission going forward?
You want to take this or?
Well, at least for what we're talking about here with particularly with civilians is, we want to help. If you care about your personal safety and the safety of the people that you love the most, your family, and you don't know where to start, you can take a look at us. You can take a look at some others, but one, vet your instructors. Kind of go out and talk to people. Make sure that the people you go to have credibility, and just take the challenge yourself. And that's one thing I can say is get out there and challenge yourself, because if your training isn't challenging, then particularly when it comes to the actual defense stuff. I'm not talking about, like, let's say if it's firearms training, the first time you go out to a basic firearms class, you're just going to be working on skills, fundamentals. Well, we're not really going to, it's just an introduction. But when we start getting into like a defensive firearms class, we're going to be pushing you a little bit, and it's important. So, it's very informative, and, we don't want to scare anybody away. We have a lot of fun when we're out there.
Yes.
I mean, it's literally, we have a good time. We had a ladies class a couple months ago. I mean, look at right now, you can see us laughing.
And they were nervous at first.
Oh yeah,
they
we
very
laughed
nervous
the whole time.
Very nervous.
Oh, it was fun.
I resemble this.
It was one of the best classes we had.
It was.
It was just fun, and it was
very rewarding.
Yeah.
The ladies were they were awesome. As soon as we started, hey, we're just out here to have a little fun and learn something and just make you better, right?
Yeah.
As soon as that was that defense or that fear of
the wall comes down.
I'm learning from a guy, or that fear comes down. Oh my God, we were cracking jokes.
Oh yeah, and some of them had their husbands there, but they were in the back, and they're like, no, stay back. And then we started laughing. We yell at them like, hey, you better get the credit card out, because you guys gotta take them shopping for some new gear. So, but it was a lot of fun though, and they learned, and we were able to push them to an appropriate level. To an appropriate level. We're not pushing them like SWAT guys or military. We're pushing them to an appropriate level, and then we build them from there. So Craig, I'll give this back to you.
Okay. Well, I think, or I hope that for 2022, I think it's safe to say our nation is pretty divided, and there are some things that are uncertain. But I think, uh, everybody, I talk to friends, family, whoever. Everybody's like, "What? What's going on? What do you think's going to happen here?" I get asked by people all the time, "What do you think of this? What do you think of that?" And I'm no expert, but um, I know this: if you can at least for this year look to make yourself better or improve yourself in some way, I don't know, read a book, train, um, look us up, look somebody else up, do something for self improvement. Uh, I think you're off to a good start. And right now, we all know there's only so many things that we can control. Um, Trying to control things that are out of your control is insanity, honestly.
Definition of it.
Yeah, and the three of us encourage you to, and I'm speaking on you,
Mm-hmm.
going out there, but do something.
Yep.
Make yourself better. Dan and I have dealt with some really high level people, and our goal has always been, we're just trying to make you better, man. We're not trying to change the way you do things completely. We're just trying to make yourself a little better. And as a human being, I would hope that's everybody's goal in some way. Is just make yourself better. Here it is, January. We just turned the year. Man, let's make it happen.
Let's grow 1% better.
Right.
Just 1% at a time.
And it doesn't have to be through us. It can be through whoever.
Mm-hmm.
Just do something. And I really encourage that. However way you see it, because there's a lot of lessons. You may go through something you don't like, but you've just learned, I don't like that.
Yeah.
Right. So, other than that, I'll hand it back to Margaret to shut us down.
Yeah, something I wanted to say. Anybody that's joined us, thank you so much. We decided to do this just kind of trying to think about what we would want to see on a Sunday night between us. And we put our heads together and we said, we'd want people just talk straight, and we'd want to hear from somebody that's going to put it out there in a transparent and truthful way. So hopefully we did. Thank you for sharing some time.
Yeah. So, Margaret. Okay. Lastly, check us out. C&D Training. We're coming online. If you can't find us, look up Harrington Concepts. HarringtonConcepts.com. If you're on Instagram, Harrington Concepts 2.0. But we're linked together. So just check us out. We'll feel free to ask us questions. One thing that I'll add lastly is when we teach these classes, we always talk about integrity and ethics. We incorporate that. Okay. If you're a law-abiding citizen, we're going to work with you. And it doesn't matter your age, the physical condition that you're in. I've worked with people in a wheelchair before. I'm working with a young man that's legally blind on some defense stuff. We will work with you. We will figure something out. Okay. So all of you guys out there, ladies, men, gentlemen, be safe. Okay. And we're going to have a great year. And Craig, anything lastly?
No.
Thanks,
Okay.
everybody.
Okay.
Thank
Bye
you.
now.
Bye.
I need a cigarette.
Yeah.
Oh.
You right? I think that was a good time.
If you end this video now, you'll be able to choose. Yes. I want to choose to save it. Okay.